People said Idara's father was a man with only one love. They were wrong. He had two. But one of them was dangerous. When Idara was born, her mother died. The doctors couldn't save them both. Her father, Mr. Udo, had to choose between his wife and their child. He chose the baby. The decision shattered his heart. From that day, he held Idara like glass, as if he owed her more than just life. He never remarried, never flirted, never joked with another woman. His whole world was his daughter. People called them the twins that were never born together. He cooked for her, braided her hair, and waited outside her school with hot jollof rice every day. They laughed like best friends and cried in each other's arms. Idara believed that she was all the woman he would ever need. And she was right until she left for university. University was far, 6 hours away from their home in Uyo. The goodbye was hard. Mr. Udo cried silently when he waved her off. Idara cried loudly inside the bus. But time moved. She grew. She made new friends, read thick books, learned new words. Her father would video call her every night, asking if she had eaten, if she was warm, if she missed him. She always said yes. Then, one day, everything changed. It was a bright Sunday morning when Idara returned home for holiday. She walked into the compound, dragging her box behind her. The front door opened slowly. She expected her father to run to her with joy. But instead it was a woman, tall, beautiful, with brown eyes and long braids. "Welcome," the woman smiled. "You must be Idara." Idara blinked. "Who are you?" "Call me May," she said softly. Then her father came from behind with a nervous smile. "Idara, this is MMA. She's been helping me around the house." "Helping? Since when did Papa need help?" They ate together. MMA served the food. Papa laughed at her jokes. Idara did not. She forced a smile, but her eyes were knives. That night, she lay in her old room staring at the ceiling fan. It was spinning too fast. Her heart spun faster. Who is she? Where did she come from? Why is Papa letting her wear my mother's apron? The next day, Idara told her father, "May is nice." She lied. Papa beamed. "I'm glad. She makes me happy." Happy? Wasn't I enough? The fake smile on Idara's face grew wider each day, but her heart grew darker. She began watching May, what she wore, where she sat, how she touched Papa's arm. She hated it. One afternoon, while MMA was sweeping the living room, Idara entered quietly, holding a small gold necklace. It wasn't hers. She had taken it from her friend's bag at school. Carefully, she bent near MMA's purse and dropped the necklace inside. She didn't blink. She didn't smile. Then she waited. That evening, Papa was searching for his wristwatch. MMA said she hadn't seen it. Idara walked in. "Papa," she said softly, "I saw something strange." "What is it?" She pointed at MMA's bag. I think I saw something shiny there." MMA looked confused. "What do you mean?" Papa opened the bag. There it was, the gold necklace. MMA gasped. "That's not mine." "I don't know how it..." But Papa didn't let her finish. His face turned hard. "You're stealing from my house?" "No, I didn't." "Leave," he said, trembling. "Leave now." May tried to cry, but her tears were useless. She packed her things and left that night. Idara watched her go from behind the curtain. She smiled. The house was quiet again. Just her and Papa. Just like it used to be. But something changed. Her father didn't laugh as much. He stopped calling her my queen. He looked at his phone often and didn't show her the screen. He no longer waited outside her room to ask if she wanted tea. Something was missing. 3 weeks later, he came home with another woman. Her name was Uka. Idara almost dropped her spoon when she saw her. This one wore perfume that filled the house. She laughed loudly and called her father darling. Idara swallowed her anger. She greeted Uka with the same fake smile. Welcome, Auntie. Uka grinned. I've heard so much about you. Idara's heart whispered, you won't last long here. She started her plan again. One morning, she slipped into Yuka's room and took one of her own underwear. She placed it inside Yuka's handbag. Later, when Uka went to use the bathroom, Idara walked past her father's door, holding the bag loosely. She let the underwear drop. Papa called her. What's that on the floor? She picked it up, looked surprised. Oh, that looks like mine. Ka returned just in time to hear her. That's not yours. Ka shouted. Why is my underwear in your bag? Idara said, eyes wide like a child. I don't know. Someone must have. But Papa didn't want drama. He shook his head. Please, Uka, leave. Ka stormed out in anger. Again, the house fell silent. Again, Idara smiled. But Papa's silence this time was different. He stopped smiling at her completely. He cooked his own meals. He avoided her eyes. Then one Saturday morning, he brought home another woman. Her name was Aitong. Idara's chest tightened. This one was quiet. Too quiet. She didn't wear makeup. She didn't laugh loudly. She just stayed beside Papa like she belonged. Idara tried her old tricks, but Aitong was always careful. She kept her things locked. She was calm, kind, and clean. Papa seemed truly happy. But Idara was not. She studied Aitong, followed her movements. One day, while pretending to look for a lost earring in Aitong's bag, she saw something interesting, an inhaler. Asthma? A memory flashed in her mind, her mother's final breath, her father crying in the hospital, whispering, I hate this sickness. I hate asthma. A wicked idea entered Idara's heart. One evening, while her father and Aitong were watching a movie, Idara walked into the kitchen. She took out a thick scented candle and lit it. She placed it near Aitong's open room door. Slowly, the scent filled the corridor. Then she went to her own room, smiling. But something went wrong. Candle, left too close to a curtain, caught fire. The fire spread faster than anyone could scream. Smoke poured into the sitting room. Papa jumped up. Fire! Aitong began coughing, reaching for her inhaler, but she couldn't find it. Panic filled the house. Papa rushed toward the flames, trying to stamp it out. A loud crash. Then silence. By the time the neighbors came, the fire was already dying. But Papa wasn't moving. His arm was badly burned. His back, too. He had passed out trying to protect Aitong. The ambulance arrived. They rushed both of them to the hospital. And Idara, she just sat there, shaking, staring at the black candle that had burned the man she loved most in the world. The hospital waiting room was cold. Too cold. But Idara was sweating. She sat with her hands in her lap, fingers locked, eyes wide and blank. Her father was inside the emergency room. Aitong too. Nurses walked past her. Doctors whispered. Machines beeped. She couldn't breathe. Her chest felt heavy, like something invisible was sitting on her heart. No one had blamed her yet. But she blamed herself. What if Papa dies? What if he never wakes up? She looked at her hands. They were clean, but they felt stained. Her whole body felt like it was made of guilt. A nurse came out. He's alive, she said. But his back and right arm are badly burned. He's awake, but he's not talking much. Idara stood up shakily. Can I see him? The nurse nodded. She walked down the hallway like a child learning to walk again. She peeked into the room. There he was. Papa. His skin was bandaged. His eyes were tired. His hand was shaking as it held the oxygen pipe close. Papa, she whispered. He didn't look at her. She stepped inside. I'm sorry. Still no reply. Are you okay? He finally turned his head. His face was calm, but it was the kind of calm that hurt more than shouting. He opened his mouth slowly. Sit down. Idara bade. Closed his eyes. What happened? Her throat dried up. She wanted to lie. She wanted to cry. She wanted to disappear. But the silence in the room was too heavy. She spoke, her voice small. I lit the candle. His eyes opened slowly. I didn't mean to hurt you. I just wanted her to get scared. I thought maybe she would leave. He didn't speak. Not a sound. I didn't know it would catch fire, Papa. I swear. I just didn't want to share you. Then the truth began pouring out. Like a dam breaking. I planted the necklace in MMA's bag. I hid my panties in Yuka's handbag. I oversalted the food to make Itong look bad, but I ended up burning my own tongue. She cried. Ugly, painful tears. Her father just watched her, not blinking. She dropped her head in her hands. I'm horrible. The door opened slowly. Tong stood there. She had an oxygen pipe in her nose. Her face looked pale, but her eyes were soft. She walked in and sat beside Idara. Papa, she said gently, let her speak her whole truth. Idara raised her head. You knew. I knew something was off, Itong said. But I wanted to give you time. I never expected the candle. That nearly killed him. Idara sobbed louder. I was scared you'd take him away. I didn't come to take him, Itong said. I came to love him. The silence that followed stretched long. Then Mr. Udo finally spoke. I saved your life when you were born, Idara. I gave up your mother to keep you. I never once regretted it. Not even for a second. She looked at him, lips trembling. I loved you too much, maybe, he continued. I forgot to teach you how to share love. I forgot to prepare you for the day I'd be lonely. I didn't even realize I had made you think love was a pie that runs out. His voice broke. But love is not a pie. So well. It grows deeper the more we pour into it. Idara covered her mouth, crying harder. I never loved you less when I met May. Or Uka. Or Itong, he whispered. But now, because of your fear, you burned your own home. Later that day, Idara sat in the hospital chapel. Alone. Candles in the room glowed quietly. Not dangerous like the one at home. Just soft, warm, silent. She stared at them and whispered, What is wrong with me? She remembered her mother, how her death was always a quiet ghost in their house. She remembered the night she would wake up and find her father sitting by the window, crying with an old photo in his hands. She remembered thinking, if I make him laugh enough, maybe he'll forget to be sad. She had become his happiness. But it turned into an obsession. She wanted to be his everything. And now she had become his pain. The next morning, Idara returned to the hospital room. Tong was there, reading a book. Papa was asleep. She sat beside her and whispered, Why do you forgive me? Tong closed the book. Because that's the only way forward. You should hate me. I don't. I pity you. You were drowning in fear and nobody saw it. Idara wiped her tears. Will Papa ever smile at me again? He will, Itong said, touching her hand gently. But you have to change. Not for him. For yourself. Days passed. Papa stayed in the hospital for 3 weeks. His wounds were healing, but his heart was still quiet. Idara visited every day. She brought food, fresh flowers, and even her childhood drawings. One day, she walked in holding an envelope. I wrote apology letters, she said. Papa nodded. To MMA. To Ka. To you. He didn't speak. But he opened the envelope and read. At the end of the letter, she had written one line. I miss the way you used to call me my queen, but I understand why you stopped. He folded the letter carefully and placed it under his pillow. That night, when she was leaving, he called her name. Idara. She turned, surprised. He looked at her, voice weak but warm. You will always be my queen. But now, I want to teach you how to be one. Her tears came again, but this time they were soft. 1 week later, Papa was discharged. Tong came home with them. The house was quiet but not cold. There was a feeling in the air, like something had broken but something else had been planted in its place. Idara cooked dinner. Real food this time. Not traps. She set the table, called her father and Itong. They ate together. Slowly. Quietly. The end of the meal, Papa stood up and walked to her. He placed a small wrapped box in her hand. What's this? She asked. Open it. Inside was a necklace. Her mother's necklace. I've been saving it, he said. I thought it would be for your wedding day. But maybe now is better. Idara touched it gently. I don't deserve it. You didn't. But now you're trying. He placed it around her neck. And that's how healing begins. Some things break in seconds but take years to fix. After Papa returned home, time moved slowly. The burns on his back and arms were healing, but the real pain wasn't on his skin. It was in the way he stopped laughing. It was in the way he walked past mirrors without looking. And it was in the way he sat quietly whenever the lights flickered or a candle scent drifted in from outside. Tong stayed. She never left. She didn't try to replace anyone. She simply filled spaces that needed love. She cooked, she cleaned, and sometimes she sat with Papa in silence. That was her gift. Her silence didn't need to be loud to speak love. And Idara? She started to change. Not all at once. Not with one prayer. Not with a new hairstyle or bright dresses. But slowly. Like the way night fades into morning, one soft color at a time. The first thing she did was face the mirror. She stood in front of it one morning and stared at herself. She didn't like what she saw, not her face but the shadow in her eyes. The shadow of the girl who lied, who plotted, who almost killed the man she loved the most. So she picked up the small necklace Papa gave her, her mother's, and wore it. Not to feel proud, but to feel responsible. That necklace was not just gold. It was memory. It was pain. It was trust. She wanted to carry it differently now. One day, she asked Papa a question she had never dared to ask. Do you miss Mama? He paused, then nodded. Every day. She swallowed. Do you think she would be proud of me? He looked at her for a long time. Then he said, she would have wanted you to grow. Not be perfect. Just better. Idara's eyes filled with tears. She wiped them away quickly. She didn't want to cry anymore for the same reasons. She wanted to cry because she was getting lighter. Later that month, Idara visited May. She stood at the gate for a long time before knocking. When May opened the door and saw her, she froze. Idara bowed her head. I'm sorry. May didn't smile. She didn't shout either. She just stepped aside and let her in. They sat quietly. The living room hadn't changed. Same curtain color. Same wall clock. I lied about you, Idara said, voice shaking. I made Papa think you were a thief. I know, May said. I hated that you made him laugh the way I used to. I didn't take his love from you, Idara. I just added my own. Idara nodded slowly. I see that now. They didn't hug. They didn't cry. But when Idara stood up to leave, May walked her to the gate and said, You're braver than I thought. And that was enough. She also found Uka. This time she brought a small gift, a wrapped hand cream and a card with 4 words. I'm sorry. I lied. Ka stared at the gift for a while. You have guts to come here, she said. I had to. You made me feel like a fool. I felt like one too, Idara whispered. That's why I hurt you. Ka looked at her differently now. You're not who you used to be. I hope not. Back at home, healing became a quiet part of daily life. Papa no longer wore bandages, but he wore long sleeves now, even when it was hot. The scars were deep and uneven. Idara saw them once when he changed his shirt. She didn't stare. She didn't flinch. She just said softly, "You saved her life." "And yours too," he said. "No," she whispered. "I had to save mine by learning who I was becoming." Etong planted a small lemon tree in the backyard. Grew slowly like everything else. One afternoon, as the three of them sat outside watching the leaves move in the wind, Papa cleared his throat. "Let's go somewhere." "Where?" Idara asked. "You'll see." The next morning they drove out of town. Past the shops. Past the school. Past the road that led to Mama's grave. But they didn't stop there. They went further, until they reached an old hill where wildflowers grew and silence lived like a friend. He parked the car. They sat on a bench under a quiet tree and Papa pulled something from his pocket, a small, faded photo. Mama holding baby Idara. She was gentle, he said. But she had fire too. Idara smiled. Like me. He chuckled. For the first time in a long time. Yes, like you. He turned to her. But she knew when to put the fire down and pick up peace. That sentence stayed in Idara's heart forever. Years passed. Not everything became perfect. Sometimes Idara still felt jealousy rise like a shadow. But now she knew how to talk to it. She would whisper to herself, "Love is not a fight. Love is a gift with many hands." She went back to school, finished her studies, and came home every break. She didn't rush. She didn't try to fix the past with quick smiles. She just showed up. Again and again. One day, Papa fell sick, just a small fever. Nothing serious. But Idara stayed by his side the whole night. She wiped his forehead. She cooked plain yam porridge. She sang old lullabies he used to hum when she was 5. When he opened his eyes in the morning and saw her there, he said, "I'm lucky to have 2 women in my life now." She smiled. 3. You forgot Itong. He laughed softly. Ah. Yes. 3. There was no ceremony. No big speech. No cameras. But on her 25th birthday, something special happened. Papa handed her a small wooden box. Inside was a letter written in his handwriting. "My queen, thank you for learning how to love again. Not just me, but yourself. I forgive you fully. But more than that, I trust you again. Not because you're perfect, but because you chose truth when it was hard. May your love always be wide enough to include others, but deep enough to hold you firm. Papa." She folded the letter and held it close to her chest. That night, she didn't blow out candles on a cake. She sat beside her father and Itong in the backyard under a sky full of stars. They watched the lemon tree. It was full now. Yellow fruits glowing in the dark like small suns. And as the wind passed through their quiet laughter, Idara knew this was healing. Not loud. Not public. Just real. If you have not subscribed to my channel, you might not hear my voice again, but if you are, then you are growing every day. Check my page for more interesting stories. Thanks for watching.